I just want to tell you, uh, 2024, we ended with a lot of people here having not only a record month, but a record year for a lot of folks. I also know there were some really, really big rank advancements. I haven't got the report yet for many of you from December going into January. So we've got some preliminary numbers. I still think the company is looking to close some business out and a couple different divisions in just some areas, so we'll get all that. But for some of you, there's a big congratulations due. For others, maybe you were making the run, missed the mark a little bit. The fact that you're making the run, congratulations on that. Jane, you made a comment earlier about Karen Irish Brago being on the phone. Karen, just a shout out to you on behalf of the team. We continue to keep you in prayers for the things you're dealing with. Karen reminds me a lot of Debbie George. And I think all of you remember Debbie. We miss Debbie. Debbie has passed now, I think probably over maybe a year and a half. Anyhow, I had known Debbie as I've known Karen for quite a long time, but I'll go back to Debbie for a minute. For 30 years, gosh, probably almost 35 years. And Debbie had struggled with health challenges from the time I met her. I'm going to tell you one thing, and Paul Meyer, a mentor to Darcy and I, billionaire Paul Meyer, had a saying, attitude is everything. I think one of the things that kept Debbie alive as long as it did was her attitude. I can't remember a time in over 35 years where I would talk to Debbie and she ever was depressed or down or sad. Even though there were times I talked to her, she was in the hospital. I think of that with Karen. I mean, I see Karen and, she does everything she can to come to a conference. She does everything she can to, communicate the passion she has for Legal Shield, the legal and identity theft plans, and the opportunity to be an associate. And so, you know what? I'm excited because we have an amazing team. I'm excited to associate with individuals like each of you. And as we go into 2025, I'm going to start with a question tonight. And then, I don't think I need all of you to raise your hands. I believe I know what everybody's response would be. It'd be the same as my response. But I'm going to ask you a question. How many people feel that they can grow their leadership value? So, yeah, okay, Jane's raising two hands. I'm raising my hand. I would believe that every one of you on the phone or on the call tonight, Elvira, I see you, are raising your hand. So how many people feel they can grow their leadership value? How many people would agree that if you are an effective individual, in other words, your effectiveness, let's say on a 1 to 10 is an 8, but your leadership is a 2. How many people would agree that if you grew your leadership value, you would grow your effectiveness into what you did? Right? Okay. All right. So Darcy and I made a 5-figure investment years ago into John Maxwell. Darcy and my daughter went to the John Maxwell certification in Florida, I believe Orlando, Florida. I think they spent about a week down there. Darcy brought a lot of that material back. We have been very close and done a lot with John Maxwell. Many of you know my story is one of 8 people to help launch the People's Network in 1994, all personal development. And we brought that into the North American living rooms via our own satellite. John Maxwell was a advisor to the company back then. Paul Meyer, Og Mandino, Tracy, Brian Tracy. Gosh, I can't even go over all the people that were part of that, that were part of the network that we worked with for 4 years. It changed our lives, it changed our children's lives, and it's a value that we've lived by. for probably 30, 35 years, just leadership and the values and the principles surround it. We want to make that investment this year and kicking off 2025 with all of you. And so I'm going to commit based on my travel schedule, to every Monday hosting a part of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And so that's how we're going to kick off this year, with the entire goal being improving each one of ours leadership value. There's no doubt that we can improve our leadership value. And when we do, our influence and everything that influence brings to family, finances, life, business, whatever it is, increases, and so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for a minute. Here's the commitment I'm going to need from you guys. Let me get this, I guess. Yeah, go to screen one. All right, share that. I'm going to ask that, let me find it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
You see the John Maxwell 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership?
Yep.
All right. The only way that this is going to work is that you guys are going to have to commit to reading the chapter the week before we do the actual online PowerPoint. Tonight, I'm going to just go ahead and highlight what that's going to look like. So I also would like each one of you to consider reaching out to 5 or 10 of the people on your team and say, hey, maybe you're part-time, maybe you're full-time. Join us in this endeavor and consider changing your life in every aspect by committing to this whole, 21 irrefutable laws of leadership and the things we can do together, and get them engaged in what we're going to do over the next 21 weeks with this. Okay. So I've got the book behind me. I'm just showing it to you here. I hope many of you have probably already read it. John Maxwell is a big part of the Legal Shield organization. He's been a friend to Harlan, to Rip Mason, and to others. I don't know if he knows Warren or not, but he certainly has spoken and been part of Legal Shield. He's a big proponent of what we do. I'm going to scroll down here for a minute. In the first chapter we're going to be talking about is the law of the lid. So I'm going to highlight a few things there tonight. I'm going to show you the PowerPoint, but we're going to do this again next Monday because there's a little bit of homework I'm going to give you all tonight as well. But here you can see, and it's an amazing, amazing read. It's an amazing, amazing book. It will impact every one of you. Chapter 2 is the law of influence. Chapter 3 is the law of process. Chapter 4, the law of navigation. Chapter 5, the law of E.F. Hutton. And I'm not going to go through all of them right now. Chapter 6, the law of solid ground. But one of the things I like about what we're going to talk about tonight, or what you're going to get a chance to read this next week, these chapters aren't long, ladies and gentlemen. They're short, they're to the point. And it's going to take you right into kind of the homework we're going to have for each other. More importantly, the PowerPoint we're going to go into in the interaction we're going to have with each other. But leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. You guys all just agreed with me on that. And I'm going to show you a couple of graphs in respect to that in a minute. Brothers Dick and Maurice came as close as they could to living the American dream without making it. Instead, a guy named Ray did with the company they had founded. And instead, a guy Ray did with that company they had founded. It happened because they didn't know the law of the lid. Do you guys know who I'm talking about with brothers Dick and Maurice? Yeah, Tony, you got it. Shaking his head. Okay.
Ray Kroc.
That's right. That's right. So McDonald's. Dick and Maurice, for all practical purposes, started the first kind of fast food chain and did well. But when they tried to expand, because they were capped by their leadership abilities, were not able to do it. In other words, they were extremely effective in doing what they did to start that first McDonald's business in California. What did Ray Kroc do? Because his leadership lid was so much higher than brothers Dick and Maurice, you can see what McDonald's is doing today. In other words, they were doing 250,000 in revenue back in the 50s. And then you look what Ray Kroc did, what he sacrificed, and what he was willing to do in his mid 50s to build the company and franchise it out. Big, big difference. What was the difference? The law of the lid. Ray Kroc's leadership level made his effectiveness considerably 10x that of what the McDonald's brothers were. So let me pull up this next one. All right. And this is the PowerPoint that we'll be going through in more detail next week, but we're going to do this after every chapter that you guys read. All right. And you're going to see the importance of this, because either we do it together and grow together, or it's just not a program that's going to work for you. It works for me. I've committed to it, and I've read the book time and time again. All right. So that's where your name's going to go. All right. So we go to slide 2. The law of the lid. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. We've already determined that. All right. Leadership ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. Can you all see this? Okay. The lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lid on his potential. The higher the individual's ability to lead, the higher the lid on his potential. If you look at Harlan Stonecipher as an example, Harlan was sold out after that accident to bring equal justice to the global marketplace in 1972. His effectiveness in the beginning was, let's just say, so-so. Because when you start a company out of its genesis, you're going to have barrier after barrier after barrier after barrier. Harlan's leadership level was maybe second to none, even to the point where he was unable to meet payroll, and he and Shirley sold all the furniture in their house, refinanced their house to pay the salaries of the employees to keep them going. Like Ray Kroc, Harlan made sacrifices that few people knew about to grow a company, because he had a leadership level that was to the moon. In other words, maybe to the moon's the wrong word, but on a 1 to 10, Harlan had a leadership level that was around a 10. If your leadership level is a 3, that's fine. What happens if you grow it to a 5, a 6, a 7? You don't have to do it in 2 weeks, but what will that influence? What will that leadership growth do for your effectiveness? So look at this next slide. So look at the first slide. You have an effectiveness. I'm just saying you. Let's just say I. Let's just say John Hoffman. In that very first graph, let's say I have an effectiveness of about an 8, between an 8 and a 9. But my leadership is only around the 1.5, between a 1 and a 2. You can see the effectiveness graph of what I'm going to be able to do. So it doesn't matter how effective I am. I can be actually really, really effective, but if I don't have the leadership skills, I'm not going to really create much revenue. I'm not going to create much success. I'm not going to create much growth in anything I do. So now look at the next graph where it says success with leadership. Your same effectiveness, let's say, is an 8. In other words, think about it. I look at Barry, Tony, Priscilla, Jane, myself. These are just the people I can see on the screen right now. I would imagine we're all pretty doggone good at marketing this membership. All right. We're good at presenting the benefits. I've talked to Calvin. I've watched Calvin. Calvin can market with passion the benefits of the identity theft, he's got good stories and testimonials around that of the legal plan, people are going to want to buy it. But if your leadership level is only at a 1, what is the ability to have the effective kind of growth of duplicating what you do, recruiting associates, and duplicating what you did with them? I've got many people on my team. You've got people on your team who can sell the membership, but haven't done very well at recruiting. And it simply boils down to influence. Influence is directly related to leadership. So look, successful leadership in that second graph, if you can grow, or when you grow, not if, when you grow your leadership level, your leadership ability from a 1 to a 2, a 2 to a 4, a 4 to a 6, look at how that effectiveness increases. Make sense, everybody? Okay. All right. So what is the lid number on my leadership? This is a great question. Now, here's where it gets kind of fun, is especially if you have a workout partner, you need to go through this and you need to rate it on a 1 to 10. All right. Character on a 1 to 10 would be what? Charisma, commitment, communication, competence. All right. Self-discipline, security, teachability, vision. You rate that. But if you really want to get an understanding of this, ask someone that knows you to rate it for you. Got some of you thinking for a minute, don't I? Calvin's over there smiling. I can see Calvin. Yeah, okay. I need to go see who else I can kind of look at. All right. That Brenda's all serious. It's like, see, that's why I won't let Brenda coach my golf game. Because she's going to show me things where I'm going to look in the mirror and go, oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt so bad. Okay. But if I want, but if I want to grow my leadership abilities in my game of golf, I would want Brenda to rate me. I would want Brenda to watch me. I would want Brenda to study me. All right. I might think I've really got a good backswing. All right. And I might rate my backswing an 8. But when I sit down with someone else who knows me, Brenda can say, John, it's nowhere near an 8. You aren't even close. You're about a 4. That kind of critique allows me to look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe that's where I need to get some focus. I thought I was about an 8. She's the pro here. She knows me better than anybody. It's at a 4. That's something I need to work on for the next 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Okay. So rate it yourself, but get someone that knows you to rate this as well. It's tough sometimes, but it's a new year. Okay. Let's make 2025 our best year yet. We don't ever have to worry about looking back. I mean, none of us look back. I love what Dave Savola, a good friend, love him dearly, says, I don't live my life in a rear view mirror. You know what I mean? I only am looking down the road. I'm only looking forward. All right. So, just another example, as I'm kind of chuckling here. In my early days, people said, record yourself when you're doing the presentation. Record yourself when you're marketing the membership. I'm like, gosh, okay. I knew I wasn't going to like it. And although I was having success doing presentations, I was having success marketing the memberships. When I listened to myself, man, you talk about a plan, do, review. You talk about an R and A. For John Hoffman, I needed to refine in advance because I couldn't believe how many times I said, I couldn't believe it. I was like, geez, unbelievable. That is terrible. I mean, it actually hurt to listen to myself. But guess what? When my awareness improved, my energy also improved, and I stopped saying a lot. All right. You guys get it. Enough of that. Okay. So this is just the last slide. We're going to go over these again next week. Ask those closest to you to grade you on your lid. Evaluate and consider the likeness and differences. Go back to the 21 qualities and find where you can make the greatest impact by growing. Let's just have this a year of growth. Isn't that kind of what a New Year's about? I'm going to eat better. I'm going to focus on my health better. I'm going to work out more. I'm going to take my business to the next level. We've got these goals. So go back to the 21 qualities, find out where you can make the greatest impact by growing. Remember, work on your strengths. It's always good to work on your strengths, but an effective person is going to look at some of the weaknesses and say, hey, how can I grow that? And that's what we'll do together, and understand many of us, and don't look in the mirror and feel bad. Don't look in the mirror and have any guilt or condemnation, because everybody, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, I don't care who I point to, John Maxwell, everybody has a weakness area. It's burying your head in the sand and not paying attention to it that keeps you weak. Identifying that and putting some attention to it makes you strong. So things you can do today to raise your lid: value experience with reflection and invest in the training. I've invested in this monetarily for everybody. I'm all going to ask you to invest with your time, and that we go at this together. All right. Not next week, but the week after, we'll be raising your lid. So I'm asking you, get the book if you haven't got the book. All right. This week, you read chapter 1. All right. The law of the lid. This week, you go through those 21 character traits and you fill it out. All right. You fill this out. Please have someone else look at it and evaluate you on it. Okay. And then take an average of it and let's see what you come up with. We don't have to post it unless you want to. I mean, I'll put mine up there. I think we're probably our biggest critical gaugers. What's the word I'm trying to say? I guess we're our biggest
Critic.
Critic.
What is it? What is
Critic.
it?
Our biggest
Critic.
Mhm.
Critic. Why I got you, Calvin. That's why I got you guys. We're our biggest critic. All right. So anyhow, let's just do that. And with that, let me open it up to any questions you guys might have, any comments you might have. Hey, look, if you've already read the book 2 or 3 times, join alongside me and help me coach and mentor through this, 21 laws. All right. This isn't about me just talking every week. This is about engaging you guys as we get into the law of the lid, as we get into the law of influence, as we get into the law of E.H. Hutton and stuff like that. Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Yeah, John, I have a question. When we get this evaluation on the number of our leadership through the survey, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
How do we evaluate it? The total number is going to put us at a level, or what is it going to do?
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at this, what is the lid? I'm going to have Trish post this on the website. Okay, this PowerPoint will be on the website. I hope by Wednesday. The latest will always be Thursday, just depending on her schedule. Okay. You look at each one of these areas and you rate it on a 1 to 10. You take that total number and divide it by 21, and that will come out with your average number on this person's level of effectiveness. Okay.
Got it.
If you look at teachability and you rate yourself a 3 on teachability, and you rate yourself an 8 on listening, then that might be something we want to discuss because they kind of go hand in hand. But that would be an area that would truly be a focus. If you rate yourself on relationships, and charisma as a 9, but you don't have anybody in your pipeline in Legal Shield, that's an area that we should probably have honest conversation on. So it allows us to kind of do a self dive into what we're thinking, but it also allows us to have some honest conversation with each other about areas that we can improve on. I thought I was extremely teachable in my early days, but what I found is that I carried old habits into the marketplace. And there was a time in November of 1988 and December of 1988 when I did this business, this industry. It was a company called NSA. I didn't sponsor anybody. I didn't sell anything. I was so bad. My sponsor finally got a hold of me in January of 1989 and said, "Hey, I know you're a hard worker. Would you be willing to be teachable?" And I'm like, Darcy and I were both like, yes. I thought my teachability was maybe about a 7 or an 8. I was hungry. I thought I was fairly humble. I wasn't. I didn't think I carried a lot of pride. I did. And I wasn't as teachable as I thought I was. It opened up my awareness to effectively increase my leadership level that impacted my business in a big way. So does that make a little better sense? Okay.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Yep. And if you guys want to get a head start, take a picture of this right now, on the screen, and you can be thinking about it. Teresa Berlin.
Oh, I just wanted to say one of my weaknesses is self-discipline and being consistent, and also personal development. I've been saying I need to get into reading my personal development every day. So thank you. This will be perfect to kick off the new year.
Good. All right. Well, we'll cover the personal development side, and we need to find a way to take your self-discipline. And what was the other one?
Consistency.
I need to take that and tie it back into your why and figure out what we need to do there.
And also, as far as investing in programs like this, I'm a whole different person from this program I invested in this past year, and I spent some money on it. It really makes a difference to invest in a program like this.
All right, good. Well, now that you brought that up, we know that one of the weaknesses is self-discipline and consistency, and your awareness to that and your commitment to doing something different is going to be one of the things that can change based on how you grow your leadership.
Yeah, I'm excited for 2025.
Good. Hey, Brenda.
Oh, John, love our first Zoom of the year. And I'm sure you said it, and I don't know how, because I know I'm paying attention. Of course, I'm going to rate myself. Did you not say have someone else also to rate me?
Yes.
It could be anybody?
Well, preferably somebody that's kind of close to you, that knows you a little bit,
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you got it. That's why I kind of use the PGA, LPGA, professional example. I'm gonna want someone like you over coaching me on the golf side. I'm gonna want someone close to me, one of my kids, my wife, a good friend, especially a really good friend. Hey, take a look at these 21, traits. Where do you see me on some of this? Robert.
Thank you, John. As an engineer, measuring things is always a prime requirement, and this is just amazing. I've been in Legal Shield 7 years, and I have not been able to get any traction, and this is going to make a huge difference to me. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate your willingness to share where you came from, because so often we see the leaders who are way up there and we forget that they started way down someplace.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, Robert, you're welcome. And I promise you, this will make a difference in 2025 for every aspect of your business and just your life in general. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because a lot of people, that's why I think we got to tell our story a little bit more, because people see us going across the stage as a platinum, or see us growing across the stage at a new ring level. But man, they forget we had a day one and a day, a day 2 and a day 3. And I promise you, the one thing that separates me from most of you is I just got a hell of a lot more no's than you guys have got. So, you know, appreciate that. Jane?
Yeah, John, I don't know if you're aware, yesterday Elizabeth Gardner did a goal setting session, a powerful session. Today, this morning rather, Coach Fard Bell did another session. There's a morning called the Morning Leaders. You probably know about it. And now you're coming with this book. It is so phenomenal what I think every one of us on here that was on any of those other things coming to this, we're not the same people anymore already. So this is just going to explode us. But also, I wanted to tell you for next week, you're not in presentation mode. So we're not seeing a full screen. We're seeing two. Do you, I don't know what you see. We're seeing 2 screens just for you to know for next week when we go into it, that you can
Okay.
put it into full presentation mode. But
All right.
okay.
Well, we'll get some of it fixed up. I'll get with Trish in the morning and
Okay. By the way, I got an answer from, I guess it was Darcy that just wrote back to me. She said Trisha's is away. And so she was trying to figure out what it was that we needed here tonight. And I said, we don't have a host. So
yeah, okay. All right. Well, she's really part-time right now because we just kind of encouraged her and helped her to start her own business. So we're pretty proud of her, but she's still with us 4 days a week, just a lot less time. But I'll be with her tomorrow and we'll get this all straightened out.
yeah, I think what might help you, John, is just to go to your Zoom site and join the meeting from the meeting that you have scheduled. Start the meeting, then you'll be host.
Yeah, you and I need to talk offline about it. So that'd be fine. I'm very coachable. Jimmy Todd, go ahead.
Mr. Hoffman, thank you so much for doing this. I'm looking forward to this. Just got the book, so I'm going to be starting to read it. You know, I really have missed all the coachings and trainings that you and Darcy have done over the years. I think the last time that I remember Darcy did one was a couple years ago. So I'm glad you're doing this again. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. I know Darcy really rock and rolled and has a whole lot of those archive trainings on Shield Nation. So at some point this year, if you guys help me, we can probably encourage and get her back in the mix to kind of take over some of this too, because she's a rock star with it. So thanks, Jimmy. Deborah.
Hi. Yes, I was wondering if you would put up the book again. So I see lots of books by John Maxwell. So I wanted to get the right book. Okay. Now I found it. Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Hello, Arnhem. How are you, my friend?
Hello. I'm excited to be on the call. I have some big goals for 2025, and I've actually have this book in my library. I'm looking at it. It's been a long time since I've read it. And so my question is, I'm really excited to read it with everybody. My question is, will we be going over this book over the next 21 weeks, or is this going to be more compressed within the time frame?
We'll kind of gauge it after we get through maybe six chapters. And if we feel that we're cruising along and can do maybe 2 chapters a week, we'll do that. I'm going to kind of get that feedback from you guys. But we're going to start out a little bit slower, get a good feel for what pace is good for us, and then kind of go from there.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. I haven't been much of a recruiter, as you know, over the past few years. I've been focused on the B2B side, but I feel like this is the year of me recruiting. And this is a perfect book so I can learn to be the leader that I know I can be. Thank you.
Well, you're a great leader, Arnhem, and congratulations on some really good business at year end. So I look forward to each one of you doing any and everything that you set your heart's desire to, and you'll do it by increasing your leadership level. So fantastic. With that, we're 35 after, actually almost 40 after. So I want to do my best to keep it at 30 minutes. Anybody else before we wrap it up? Perfect. All right, Jane, I'll get this Zoom thing all squared away and appreciate you guys. We'll get this posted. In the meantime, let's plan on getting a deeper dive next week on the law of the lid. Happy New Year, everybody.
Sounds good.
New
Thank you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, John.
Happy New Year.
Thanks. Have a dandy night.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John.
Happy New Year.
Happy
See you
New
next
Year.
time.
Shield Nation.
Field Nation.
Yeah. I got my book.
Love it.
How did you get it? Oh, there we go.
Great